everybody, and welcome back to Beer with a Business Owner. I'm your host, Jordan Lloyd. You haven't seen me in a while, from the Greater Muscatine Chamber of Commerce and Industry. It's 2024 now. A lot has happened since the last episode. I think that was like July maybe of 23. Lindsay's behind the camera. She doesn't know. She's like, I've never been a part of this. Like, I don't never really watched one of your episodes. I'm assuming everybody in Muscatine and the surrounding areas, maybe even nationwide, watch this. But anywho, so I'm happy to be back. Like I said, lots changed. Chamber's accomplished a lot. Jordan Lloyd Photography's accomplished a lot. Jordan Lloyd herself cut her hair. It's a little darker. I'm sure you've noticed. Everybody, you know, keeps a lot of tabs on me. So we're back at Contrary Brewing. We love it here. And we're really excited to be back and to get the ball rolling on our 2024 Beer with a Business Owner episode. So today I have a very special guest. He's gonna enter now, stage right. Hold your applause, please. Stage right, stage left. Barth Donald of Donald Consulting. How are you, sir?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. Cheers to you. Today we have the number 10 Savor the Sun Hazy IPA. Thoughts? First thoughts?
Delicious.
It's delicious.
Yeah.
Most of their beer, all of their beer, even if it's not, you know, before me, is very good. You've never been here before.
I've never been here before.
But see, this is what happens. Beer with a business owner. We bring people together.
New experiences.
Yep, small businesses. We've got it all just tying together. So how are you? How's 2024 so far?
2024 has been very good.
Okay,
Yeah.
Good. That's what we like to hear.
Yeah.
Better than 2023?
Better than 2023.
Off to a good start. Good. We won't jinx it.
Off to a great start.
There's some wood somewhere in the bottom of my chair here. Well, this is how we start at Beer with a Business Owner, is we don't talk about your business to start.
Right.
We don't talk about you. We don't talk about me. We play a game. But it'll in turn, A, loosen us up, and B, we'll be able to kind of get to know each other a little better. Okay. Have you ever played the game Two Truths and a Lie?
I have.
Well, that's what we're going to do today, big dog.
Right.
So you write down in no particular order 2 truths and 1 lie. Lindsay!
Sorry.
Right on sound.
Sorry.
2 truths and a lie, and then we'll read them out loud. And you know. And he's like, yeah, okay, I'm going to start writing now. Stop explaining. Okay.
Keep it clean, Jordan. Keep it clean.
Is that possible for her?
No, I will.
See, like, I picked the game, and it feels like I should have thought about these things before.
You've had all day.
My film crew's back there texting. You guys haven't met Lindsay yet on this show, but Lindsay's my new cameraman. She's also employed by the Greater Muscatine Chamber of Commerce and Industry.
For now.
Is our membership. Do you know what you're doing?
Business services manager.
I'm sorry, she's the business services manager. I was going to say membership manager.
Well, that would make more sense, in my opinion.
We'll talk about it.
Yeah, well, I'm going to bring this up
We'll talk about
with
it.
management later.
All right.
You ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. Do you want to go first, or do you want me to go first?
Ladies first.
All right. So, like, you want me to read them, or you want me to ask you yours first? Now you get to choose what I do
You can
first.
read them.
Okay. Ready?
Mm-hmm.
All right. I'm just telling you I'm not a very good liar. Okay. I have 2 older brothers. I have a degree in marketing. My favorite color is blue.
All lies.
Your favorite color is blue.
Is the lie?
Mm-hmm.
You have no follow-up questions to any of them?
I don't.
My favorite color is blue,
Oh.
and I am an only child. I had a whole backstory. My brother's names, Jacob and Jared,
Uh-huh.
they're not existing. But I mean, I had backstories for them.
Wow.
That they were, one was
Which-
3 years older, one was 4 years older.
Which one was in the military?
Jared, neither.
Oh.
Neither. But I had,
You're
yeah.
clearly a pro at this game.
Yeah, and that's why it was also a lie that I'm bad at lying. My favorite color is absolutely blue, though. So that's why I was like, you don't have follow-up questions? He's like, nah, man, I know.
No, I'm locked in.
Thought I had you in the color.
All right,
All right.
let's see it.
You
They're
do
here.
give off kind of a purple vibe.
Oh
Yeah,
my.
I was
You
gonna
know,
say,
the-
definitely not blue.
That's
Lime green, maybe.
purple's probably-
Lime green, maybe.
I feel like both of those are some of my least favorite colors. You're just
When you think
spinning
you,
off my-
just when you think you know a girl.
maybe like a forest green. I'd say like this blue, like cloud Cinderella blue, forest green.
You've changed.
Burnt orange.
Mm-hmm.
You've changed.
It used to be cranberry. No, I'm just kidding.
Cranberry.
All right, I'm ready.
All right. I'm an avid 49ers fan. I've met former MLB players David Wells and Kirk Gibson. I'm a scratch golfer.
I have follow-up questions.
Okay.
What is a scratch golfer?
Means their handicap is basically 0. Or less than a +5. Really good.
Good. Excellent. Excels. Good putter.
You give vibes you'd be good at golf. What was the first one again?
I'm an avid 49ers fan.
Who's their quarterback?
Brock Purdy,
Who's their
Everyone knows
who's their
that.
starting running back?
Christian McCaffrey, CMC.
Okay, 49ers feels... That feels like it checks out. What was the second one?
I've met former MLB players David Wells and Kirk Gibson.
And their teams are?
They were known for playing on the Tigers and the Yankees. David Wells threw a perfect game
Where'd you meet them?
in Iowa,
Just in the state?
South English, Iowa.
I'm going with that's the line.
No, I actually have met them.
Son of a biscuit!
They used to hunt with my uncle and my dad, and my uncle lives up in North English. So I am not a scratch golfer.
Okay.
I am a +23.
Okay. Honestly, my follow-up question and your answer did confuse me more. I didn't want to dive back into the golf one because I don't know anything about golf or the score, and I get
I
very
think the
confused
moral of the
whether
story is
I lost.
you're a loser.
Well, so did you. I mean, we both
But
lost.
you asked questions.
Yeah.
I was just shooting from the hip.
Yeah.
You just went straight in. You're just not that good at
Tried to-
golf.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. So you should practice. You should be better.
Yeah, I do.
Are you
Less-
practicing?
Lessons, yeah.
Hey, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. What made you get into golf? Or you've always been into golf and just bad at it?
I only did the golf, was bad at it. And I started playing when I was like 12, 11. Yeah.
Oh, cool. One of my other ones was going to be that that I went all state for volleyball. So would you have said that was a lie or
I
the
would say
truth?
that was a lie.
Yes, it was. I got cut from the 7th grade team, so I never had a career in volleyball.
You know, I almost lied to you and played dumb that I didn't know the 49ers players. But I already
That would have been yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
But
you
the
could
thing
have
is like those were
realistically.
pretty.
You
like-
could have said anybody. I knew the names that I associated them with that team, I believe.
Uh-huh.
But you could have said I would have taken
The
very
real trick would have been to
confidently.
like dig into the archives and like bring up, you know, who is their starting quarterback in the 80s or
So
the
you're
90s.
so you're very
'Cause then-
excited that they're in the Super Bowl. I was
Very
going to say
excited.
he's just him,
Just the he's.
just the one player,
Just the one guy.
just the one guy.
That one guy.
I'm very much the football person that like when they make memes of like the person that's like, I hope they have all have fun. I'm that way, right? Because whenever
Okay.
they walk off and they're like shaking their heads, I'm like, I feel bad for that guy. No personal ties. He could be an absolute bad word, and I have no idea. I'm just
Very
like,
well could
I
be.
hope they all had a really good time and enjoy what they're doing with their billions of dollars they get paid. Well, that's fun, exciting about the Super Bowl. Then you're happy
Very happy.
because when's the last time they were in the Super Bowl?
2019.
5 years ago.
But they were close the last 2 years.
Yeah, I didn't know that. I knew that last year. So, Well, cool. Enough about your all your lies you've been telling
Okay.
here. Let's get into
guy.
let's get into the deep stuff. Why we're here. This is Beer with the Business Owner.
Yeah.
This is Beer, and you're a business owner, as am I. So let's hear about your business.
Yeah.
Give me kind of the let me hear about it, and then I want to hear the backstory.
Yeah, so
Okay.
my business is Donald Consulting Group. The consulting I do is IT consulting, so it means a lot of things.
Much knowledge.
So I do I'm the local IT guy for several local businesses.
Okay.
I also specialize in cybersecurity assessments, as well as building security products, like video surveillance, door access, alarm, air quality sensors, things of those natures.
Yeah. He's like, I just build the air quality sensors like.
Oh, I don't. I just sell them.
Okay.
And install them. No.
He's in there tinkering, and
Yeah.
I'm just like
There's people in Palo
interviewing
Alto.
people, and okay.
Silicon Valley.
Okay, cool. Okay,
Really smart people that like went to MIT.
Really, so that's who we should have on here. Get
Yeah.
out of here.
Can we call someone?
Cut. Get
Yeah.
me them on the phone. I want to hear about it. Okay, very cool. So tell me
Yeah.
how'd you get into it? How'd you start? take me from beginning of it to where we are now, 2024.
Yeah, so I've been in IT career for now about 20 years. So I started at a local community bank in entry-level position, worked there for about 5 years, left to work for another consulting company in the Quad Cities. Really good learning experience. There's a financial institution back in Muscatine. They were expanding and growing, so they called me up to see if I was interested in rejoining, and I did. Cool. I really enjoyed consulting, so at the time I had friends and family members starting their own businesses.
Cool.
So they were like, hey, what do I do with this IT stuff? Because this isn't what I do. So that's kind of how I started building a client list, and that just built up over time. Cool. So I was doing that as a side hustle while I was working in internal IT and banking.
Very cool.
Got to a point, honestly, in COVID, where it just really shook me. I was fortunate I wasn't affected with my job and my career, but I saw so many people that were. So I decided if I was going to continue doing this, I was going to go all in and bet on myself. Then in 2022, I went full time, running my own business.
Sweet.
Yep. And run out of the office building over on Cleveland Street.
Yep. Yeah. Very cool. Very cool. Well, that sounds all like you've obviously had an extensive background in it, but I'm glad you're doing it for yourself. Yeah. And like helping I love the piece of helping other small businesses to kind of start, like here, it's like when I go to my grandma's house, I mean, not nearly as extensive as you, and she just like hands me all of her like broken stuff, right? And she's like, so the iPad's not getting my text, and don't worry about it right now, but Netflix isn't working. And I'm just like, very baseline, but I'm like, I'll fix it. I'm the Barth Donald of my grandparents' home. I can fix it.
There you go.
Yeah, and see, cool. So what do you love most about, since like it's only been, I guess like a full, year and a half-ish, what have you loved most? Obviously it comes with a lot of work and a lot of new territory and figuring things out, and right, when you're the IT guy, you don't have to worry about the marketing side and all that, you become all these different things. What has been your favorite part though of going from kind of that corporate-y person to a small business owner?
Yeah, I would say what was probably the biggest thing I enjoyed about consulting was working for a company, but not working only in one company.
Yep.
So then I get to meet business owners and see how their operations work and things that I never thought were possible.
Yeah.
Like a local manufacturing company that produces, pulverizes fine materials that produce for spices and such. I never knew that you could do that. They didn't tell us that.
You're like, sweet.
Yeah, they didn't tell us that.
Let me do your cybersecurity. Yeah. Like, I didn't know this. That's awesome.
So then not only learning their infrastructure, but as we get to meet them, seeing their whole operation, how does this work?
Yeah.
And then
that's awesome.
You get to see things that I never would have thought I would get to see.
Yeah. No,
and
that's super cool.
Goes across from manufacturing, banking still, and that goes, every bank seems to be a little bit different. So it's interesting to go into there, as well as like accounting firms. Just really that broad swath of businesses that just really learning and meeting new people.
Yeah.
That's probably the best thing.
Yeah, that's awesome. How did you get into, did you go to school for this? Is this like a thing you go to school? Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know. This is why I host this show. I'm like, I'm not going to come in and do cybersecurity for you, but you can come meet me at Contrary and we can have a beer and talk about it.
Exactly.
I take the lazy route on it, but it's, either way, I'm happy you're here. So you went to school for it. Okay. So what is that like? I guess, what does that entail as far as how'd you get into this in general? Or you just always been I'm good with computers type
kind of
person?
general.
Okay.
It was just
okay.
The stuff I do doesn't intimidate me, and that's kind of the difference of people that don't work in IT. It's like, I don't want to break anything.
Yep.
I don't want to push the wrong button or plug the wrong thing.
Yeah.
And just looking at, me standing in a back room and a network rack, I can look at that and it just makes sense to me.
Yeah.
So it just kind of came somewhat naturally, I suppose.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
What have you felt is one of the bigger challenges in switching, especially switching, you don't necessarily have the traditional job where it's I take pictures on the side and now I'm a full-time photographer. It's one of those things where you were doing that full-time for somebody and then you went full-time for yourself. So what's been the biggest switch or like change, maybe even like, you know, hard thing, switching to, you know, being a small business owner instead?
Sales and marketing, you know, generating
Yeah.
new leads. That's definitely a new area for me. I did a lot of work on that on my own initially.
Yep.
Since then, I partnered with a couple companies to do the cold outreach and have some marketing campaigns
Yeah.
around the things I mentioned earlier, my kind of areas of focus, which is the cybersecurity and
Yep.
the building security products.
Yeah, very cool. And I feel like that is one of the harder things, right? Is like people say it all the time, but you don't just become a small business owner and get to do like, okay, now I just get to do IT all day and like for whoever I want. It's like, no, I have to find those people. So you become the marketer, you become the accountant, you become the bookkeeper, you become, right, you can outsource those things obviously, but especially when you're getting started, you're like, you're playing all the hats, right? You're taking off all the hats and putting them on.
Well, and finding somebody that you trust that's going to deliver, because on the marketing piece, I did have to kiss a few frogs before I found the prince.
Yeah.
So, it's trial and error.
Yeah, and who gets especially with marketing, it's like who gets what you're doing and who you're trying to do it for, right? Which is obviously what marketing is, but it's one of those things where finding someone, you can work with personally, you know, that it vibes with, but also that really captures your message and does it well, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, that's something that I'm doing with, I've had the same logo for photography forever, right? And it's like usually just me talking to people and I'm like, I'm a photographer, and then someday maybe they call me or they tell so-and-so, right? So it's not been like a huge trial or issue for me, but as like I've switched, you know, to part-time at the chamber. Oh, that's a new thing here with the business owner watchers. Like I'm part-time at the chamber now, right? So I have, you know, 3 days I go in and I still absolutely love what I get to do, like stuff like this. But from the photography side, right, I needed more time. I needed more time to edit and do those things. Yeah. And it was, you know, after 5 years of doing that, it's like, okay, I finally have to grow a little bit more. And even in my marketing, it's like, I wanted to change my logo forever. I've wanted to finally deep dive and have a website that I love and really encapsulates who I am as a person and a photographer. And I just never do it, right? Because I'm like, I can do it on my own, but I can't do it on my own and all these things. So I finally, big things coming in 2024 for Jordan Lake Photography, hired somebody that's going to do my website and you know, that works with other photographers and stuff. But again, it was one of those things where it was following a lot of pages, following a lot of people that have done this, and I'm like, see their stuff and I'm like, this is amazing, but it doesn't scream me, right? And so I think I've picked like an awesome person who's like, we just really vibe, right? Like they're like, what's your vibe? And I'm like, just like really weirdly obscure things that, you know, anyway. Nerd. Agree? Yeah. But yeah, partnering with somebody that really gets what you're trying to say too, and in your voice, right? Because that's the biggest thing, right? You don't want to show up and then be like, well, you're not who I talked to or what I expected, right? You're like, you want people to hear your brand and your stuff and be like, it checks out that's Barth.
Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure. Going?
Better holster those.
Rolling?
Holster those guns.
Let's get back into it. That was unprompted. That was fun. That was quirky of us. Anyways, okay. So we've covered kind of, I feel like a general synopsis of what you do, right? Even though it's like probably very, very specific and very hard and way above my head. Phew. I feel like when you think about the cybersecurity and the IT and that kind of like world, in my head, and I'm sure so many other people's, it applies more to like big business, right? It applies to the banks of the world, school systems, you know what I mean? Like places where it's like, we got to make sure these things are in place. But how does that, and what you do, you know, like why is that important to like smaller businesses and different things? Like I know the cybersecurity is like tell me a little bit more about that side of things, because I feel like that's starting to get more like important for people.
There's so much there, right?
Yeah.
So with my background being in IT and banking, in banks, they are subject to regulators, so the FDIC, Iowa Division of Banking, Illinois Division of Banking, and so on. And those entities put requirements that banks have to be doing this, and this. And now what my focus right now in cybersecurity is still banks, but it's also shifting to accounting firms and businesses that generally have a lot of confidential customer information, like bank statements, tax returns, storing social security numbers, all the stuff that people look for identity theft. Where I found this focus was that this year the Federal Trade Commission, the FTC, set out new requirements where they expanded what it means to be a financial institution. So in their terms, it's not just banks and credit unions, it's businesses that conduct these types of transactions by the nature of their business. They're offering credit, they're running credit like at a car dealership. Accounting firms, just there's all your personal information is there. So now these businesses have requirements set forth that they need to be doing things that traditionally I was used to implementing in banking.
Right.
And that's ensuring like outside connections of multi-factor. Backups are being reviewed. They're doing cybersecurity tests like penetration tests and vulnerability assessments. And those find out all the little vulnerabilities in a network where somebody clicks on something, then they are able to take over the entire network and like ransomware. So that's what that assessment is, just making sure that all the best practices are being done. What we find in a lot of those is we call it a gift from Microsoft. A lot of default settings are actually very critical vulnerabilities that unless you live in this world, you're not going to necessarily be aware of it unless you go through an assessment or you have a really bad incident.
So, do you conduct the assessment? You do that area of things?
Yeah. So I do a full assessment. It's a low overhead for my clients that I do it for. So there's some interviews talking about what systems they use, what software they use. There's some automated inventory that happens to see all their assets, and then there's scanning from inside their network. So like if somebody were to like drop a device on their network and it was hidden, the stuff they'd be able to do. And then also, so inside the firewall or inside the network, and then outside the firewall, somebody's trying to break in from the outside. So those scans, those tests will reveal any flaws, vulnerabilities, and then following the assessment, then we have a mitigation strategy where we're addressing those and essentially checking the box and crossing them off.
And then do you do like once you've kind of done your full assessment and you're like fixing all those things, is it like normal for your clients that it's like, okay, now we do almost like a doctor, like routine checkups, like that kind of situation, or tell me the process like with that?
So once we do an initial one, I always recommend that businesses that fall subject to these requirements should do at least annually. I do have offerings where it can be as a service, where it's like a slow drip throughout the year. But the main focus so far has been more project-based. Running through these assessments.
Very cool. That sounds like honestly just a lot.
It is.
But it's like but I mean, like, how cool that, like, it's obviously something you enjoy, right? I mean, so I feel like that's what a cool thing to be somebody that enjoys the stuff that, no offense, so many people don't enjoy, right? Like, it's like, in no way do I want to do IT or anything, or I look at those types of things and I'm like, I'm not the person that's like, I didn't want to break it. I'm like, unplug, plug in, do this. Maybe if I click this, it'll work. Nope, it didn't. Now it's time to call Barth, right? One of those types of things. So I feel like, I think it's just awesome that A, you enjoy it, but B, you've taken what you enjoy, and in such a, like, again, what I think of, like, you think of like a bigger firm type thing. I think it's awesome. Because you're not calling into somebody and setting something up with all these automated things. It's like, no, when I hire Barth, I get to talk to Barth, right? He's the one that does it. I feel like that's where you get to separate yourself so much. And obviously, like, I don't have a lot of IT or cybersecurity like experience, or I've never like gone through that process, but it seems like if I was going to, that would be the route to go, right? And I feel like that's, like you said, your favorite part is getting to meet these people and kind of, I feel like assess. It's got to be, everything's got to be so different all the time, right? Like different. And I think that's got to be awesome.
From top to bottom, whether it's their network, their organization structure, who I'm talking to. Sometimes it's business owner, often it is. Sometimes it's more of an office manager. And then how decisions are made. It's different for every company.
So that's got to keep you on your toes a little bit.
You have to just keep an open mind and try not to walk in with any assumptions.
That's awesome. Do you feel like you learned, like you've, not even just from owning a business, but like as you've taken on all these different projects and addressing all these different things, like do you learn things?
Absolutely. Just by the nature of each business's network being set up different. It's so there's multiple ways to skin the cat, but in IT, but usually there's only so many ways. So when I go into a business, I have to adapt to what they're doing and ensure that I'm not the guy that breaks stuff when I come in.
Yep.
Because then the honeymoon period is over.
Yep. You're like, okay, well, this was fun. So like with the assessments and everything you're doing, like how did you kind of, I guess, get into like knowing your process and kind of just give me more on that?
Yeah, so part of my job is to continue to research and learn, because things are always evolving and changing. And then earlier this year, it was actually a bit of serendipity. I stumbled across these FTC, what we call safeguard requirements. When I started reading all the safeguard requirements, a light bulb went off that said, I already do this stuff. I've done this stuff in banking for 5+ years. So it's stuff that I was already familiar with.
That's awesome.
Yeah, or it's a new audience that's subject to. But yeah, that's kind of how I got into it. Yeah, and it's like,
that's
okay,
awesome.
I can hit the ground running on this.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
It's got to feel good to like have been like, well, yeah, I've already been checking these boxes, like.
Yeah, and you put all this work in. That it's awesome to be able to leverage that past experience for new things, right?
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So when it comes to, I guess, like I feel like again, going off of the like cybersecurity and IT, feeling like it's bigger than me, right? That it's one of those things where I feel like identity theft, anything like that, you're like, couldn't be me, right? Until somebody like actually hacks into your Facebook or something, and you're like, it's me, because that's not me anymore. You know what I mean? Things like that. So I guess like tell me like a little bit, like two parts to this question. First, I feel like let's go like into like, if somebody's gonna like cybersecurity, tell me a little bit more about that, what that means. And with that, kind of like, what are people looking for when you're trying to like hack into stuff,
Yeah, so it's really two things. And one's on the front end and one's on the back end in the IT room. So the front end, it's phishing emails, trying to get that single click where somebody sends an email. It kind of looks like it came from Microsoft. It kind of looks like it came from somebody.
Yeah.
They go to open the attachment. It doesn't open, and they're like, well, this stuff doesn't work half the time anyways. They move on. What they don't realize is by clicking that attachment, they've downloaded and installed a piece of software on their computer that then checks into the bad guy's, we'll call it command and control system. So then he can start analyzing that computer, what's on it, and then he can start moving around the network.
Didn't you, when he said command and control center, did you picture almost like Darth Vader, Barth Vader? But he's like in a dark room and he's like hacking into like small business Muscatine's stuff through a phishing email.
And then the other end, back on the IT side of it, in the operations area, it's misconfigurations, it's default username and passwords. I think I heard a stat that around 70% of all the routers in the world have the default username and password, and anybody can find that in a Google search. So that's low-hanging fruit. That's what they're looking for, is how can we get inside the network with minimal effort.
That's me. I'm the low-hanging fruit. I was going to say that was my part to the question. How important is it to use a good password?
It's very important.
I'm so the person, you're going to hate me for this, but I'm very much the person that like once you crack the really easy code to get into like my Facebook,
everything's gone.
You're getting into my bank account. You're getting into all the stuff because it's like, right? But I think it's normal for people because you're like, unless you're somebody like my mother who has a password book which writes everything down and it's, whatever, like phone password is under P for phone, right? Like she's very detail oriented like that. I'm like, okay, well, I remember that it's this combination of things. And that's it. And I feel like people default to that because they get so like frustrated, right? When it's like, oh, incorrect password, like, and then you like forget password, and you're like, make it Jordan is your password. It's not. Don't try it. I'm smarter than that.
What do you think I'm doing over here?
Lindsay's back there on her phone. She's like, sweet, getting into, whatever bank now. No.
Yep. Transfer.
Complete. Yeah, there's so much money in there, right? Millionaire right here.
Yep. Thank you.
On a part-time photography salary. Yeah. Yeah, you guys are.
Wow.
Can I hire you for some cybersecurity? Lindsay stole my money. Not really. Anyways, so yeah, passwords. Like it's okay, so it's important.
Very important. Very important. And
I was afraid of that.
So there's tools that come out that are easy to use, like password managers. I won't name any, but there's no shortage of options, and those are good for a lot of reasons. One, You don't have to remember your password. You have to write it down somewhere. The book that you mentioned, your mom uses to write
Yep.
the passwords down. What I would ask, what's her backup? If there was a fire, or if something happened and nobody knew where it was.
Don't you just automatically reset password? That's what I do 90% of the time. I don't remember them, so I just reset.
You can do that on a lot of things. I've ran into a few services where if you lose your multi-factor authentication device, they won't reset it.
Now, I will say that is one thing that I do think it's awesome from the standpoint of, I'm sure, your world, but especially when you have, so like I started overseeing YPN, right? And now I'm part of YPN. And even with Startup Muscatine, it's like somebody somewhere started the YPN account. That person put their phone number in it. It doesn't matter how many times you get the right password and you go into the settings and you're like, well, I want to change this. It's like, well, if you want to change it, we're going to text this person in Des Moines who you've never met.
Exactly.
And then they're like,
I've ran into that.
No. Right? And so it's one of those things where I feel like that is one thing where I get frustrated, because even with Startup Muscatine, right, the ladies that started it did a great job. Well, it's attached to her phone number. Thankfully I have it and I can be like, what's this thing? But even to try and get it switched over, it still defaults to her number. You know what I mean? It's one of those things where, okay, how many Startup Muscatine emails can we really make before it starts to get attached to somebody, that's gonna, work there till the end of the earth? But
best beer with the business episode ever.
Fantastic.
Yeah,
actually, no,
great.
it is great. No, I'm really glad you're here. Is there anything else you want to add that people need to know? If they need to get a hold of you, how can they get a hold of you? I want to hire you to make sure Lindsay doesn't steal my money.
Smoke signal.
Yeah.
Because we're going
Shoot off a
lo-fi.
flare.
We're going lo-fi now. We're going low to the ground.
Shoot off a flare.
Off the
Bart's
grid.
always outside his office looking for a flare. He'll find your computer. But no, seriously, I need to get a hold of you. I need to hire you. Or even just to see, right? See if my business is applicable. That's one thing where, again, I'm going to reiterate that I feel like you hear cybersecurity, you hear IT, and you're like, I'm not a multi-person firm. I probably don't apply to that. Well, I feel like the biggest thing is like to at least ask, right? Yeah. See if like, okay, this is kind of what I've been doing. Is this something, that you feel like I need to implement within my business, right?
Yeah.
So I feel like that's like, worst case, people need to just ask, right? Or at least do an assessment of some sort.
Yeah, and the initial conversation, always no charge. Until we put pen to paper and we start actually turning wrenches, so to speak. No charge. So on that end. How to get a hold of me? So I'm all over the place. Donald Consulting Group on both Facebook and LinkedIn. I'm on Facebook personally and LinkedIn. And then my website is donaldcg.com. There is a form to fill out that will come to me, and when you fill out that form, you'll actually get a kind of a brief guide on the FTC assessments.
Cool.
Assessments.
So you know a little bit more. You're not just like in the dark, like, here's what I'm thinking, Barth. And then you're
exactly.
like, hopefully he calls someday, right? Like, no, that's awesome.
And then always by email at barth@donaldcg.com.
Perfect. And I'll put all those fun things on the screen.
I just need your Venmo.
Yeah.
So I can.
Shut up, guys. Come on. There's not. We're joking about it, but there's just not that much dough. So if anyone would like to donate, I'll be starting a GoFundMe where you can Venmo me directly at @JordanLloyd10. And no, that's not my password either. Stop trying.
Okay, we're all going to jail now.
Yeah, probably to some degree. If I haven't been there yet.
Fair.
Am I gonna go today? Probably not. Either way, that's what we like.
The other focus of my specialties or marketing campaigns right now is focused on improving building and employee safety, improving that with enhanced building security products.
Okay. Oh yeah. Duh.
Yeah. So
let's talk about that.
I resell one particular line of equipment. It's called Verkada.
Okay.
They are one of the fastest growing building security manufacturers in the country.
Cool.
Based out in San Francisco.
Way to go, Verkada.
Right. Way to go, Niners. San Francisco. Tie it all together.
Full circle.
And they started out as a camera video surveillance company.
Oh, cool.
Then they have continued to evolve their ecosystem to door access control, so we have the fobs to badge in.
Oh, sure.
They've improved that process so that you don't even need a fob. You can use the app on your phone.
Oh.
They do really cool stuff. So if they have a camera where they have a door, they can see you. The camera sees you, and it sees that you badge in, and everything goes green. Now, if somebody were to steal your fob or your phone and they went through, there would an alert would go off because they would see that Lindsay went through with Jordan's stuff.
I would do
and
that.
it wasn't Jordan's face that showed up.
They said, who is that extremely less attractive and hilarious person that just walked through that door with Jordan's fob? It's not her. Wow.
And then they go on
I wish
to,
we had that at the chamber, just because that would make me feel so important. To like,
I just have big scissors. That's all I got.
you just rip and cut through the door.
Just rip and cut through the door.
Nice.
But anyways,
so
yeah.
The other products they have fall into building security. So your traditional like alarm panels, motion sensors, break glass sensors,
Sure.
air quality sensors. One cool thing that they added to their air quality sensor lineup, I did not realize this, but there is a huge epidemic with vaping in schools. And it's not just high schools, it's also junior high and middle schools. So the traditional thing back in the day is smoking in the boys' room.
Right.
The vaping in the boys'
Smoking
room.
in the boys' room.
Exactly. So now you can't put a camera in the bathrooms, right? But you can put an air
We're gonna
quality.
catch all you 13-year-old
But
boys in
We
here.
could put an air quality sensor that has vape detection and smoke detection. And then we can put a camera outside the doorway. And then an alert will go off if the vape or smoke detection goes off. And then you can correlate who went in and out of the bathroom during that time. Now you have your person of interest.
You hear that? Muscatine Community School District. Donald Consulting.
And to catch them vapors.
Catch them vapors.
And then,
Gotta catch them all.
yeah, and then other applications for that, IT rooms where they need, say, constant temperature, no moisture, no humidity, as well as manufacturing, so air quality parts per million, sort of, I guess, analysis or sensing that they're doing. And then they've really thought it out because everything,
Sounds
essentially,
like it.
their products, essentially, you plug it in as long as it has internet, it will check into their dashboard or your dashboard, and then you can access all of your products from one window.
It's like a smart home.
It is. Now,
Wow.
where traditional systems, it's you have this one-off siloed video surveillance system, and then you have a door access controller system, and an alarm panel, and none of them are tied together. They're all just isolated systems from different manufacturers often. So,
Wow. So you weren't kidding when you weren't the person that was making those. Not that you're not super smart, but like that
Yeah.
sounds like a really, really, really lot of work.
yeah.
Like
Yeah.
really, really, really smart people. That's awesome though.
And
That you
what I've been told from the Verkada people I work with is I have a unique story with Verkada. So I started with them in internal IT. In community banking, we had, through different projects and acquisitions, there were multiple different camera systems that you kind of just
Sure.
inherit what they have. So once you get to like 6 or 7, it's time to address that. And we addressed that with the Verkada system. And essentially, the video surveillance system problems that we'd had in the past, like it wasn't recording, or the cameras weren't recording or pointing in the right direction, or maybe the DVR unit had failed, now you lost your data. With Verkada, those all went away. You still have your hardware failure, but they ship you one overnight. But essentially, the majority of the operational aspects of it, just the problems in that area just disappeared. And so that was welcomed by everybody who touches that system when we applied those.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Wow. So you've been with them for a while.
Yeah, I've been working with Verkada for about 2.5 years.
Yeah.
6 months as like a reseller,
Yeah.
and then partner reseller, and then prior to an internal
Yeah.
IT.
Just in different areas. That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Very cool. Wow. Well, that's a whole nother thing we have to call Barth for now. Is
Absolutely.
all these different things that we have to get put into stuff.
I want retinal scan.
I want
capabilities.
a vaping sensor in Lindsay's office.
That would be.
And then I'm gonna go in there and just like I'm only gonna buy a vape just so that we and blow it up in there.
Oh,
Just for-
I do have quite powerful vents in there.
Yeah. Our air conditioning system at the office is.
I always
a
feel
little
like I'm in a shampoo commercial.
It's
like
very
my hair is blowing in
and
the
then once
wind.
it stops, then you have to turn your music down because it gets really quiet. And it's very.
Here's
very
one problem
odd.
I solved for myself because I run these products at my
Yeah.
office. So being just one person
Yep.
working there. Typically have the doors locked. Sometimes I'm not there. It has been difficult to get deliveries. So what I'm in the process of is installing their their intercom video system. So they kind of like the Ring, much fancier version of Ring. It's got a camera on it, and you get two-way audio through that, and then you can also unlock the door from the app to let them in to drop off the package.
You're like Spy Kids. It's like Spy Kids, but in 2024, and
Exactly.
you're the Spy Kid. You're the main Spy Kid.
So hopefully that will put an end to my difficulties on getting deliveries that I
He's
need
like,
to be there for.
beep, yes, okay, unlock. Like, that's nuts. That's super cool, though.
Yeah.
I feel like that kind of stuff, being in that world, you have to feel like it's awesome, especially when you like know about new technology, right? Like, I feel like how many people actually know that kind of stuff exists? And it's like, again, until you're in one of those bigger places where it's like, you know, somebody somewhere knows about it, the Barths of the world know about it. It's like, why would you ever know those things exist?
I would never
So
shut
that's
up
awesome.
and be like, oh my God, you guys got to hear this.
You gotta hear about it. Wow,
Yeah,
that's
and
crazy.
The cool thing is they're always developing new products, adding new features.
Yeah.
Their hardware is guaranteed for 10 years, so it has a 10-year warranty on
Wow.
it. If your model of, let's say, camera is no longer, has been retired or sunset, you
Yep.
get the new version if one old one breaks. So, yeah, they have a really well thought out system that
Yeah.
is pretty slick.
Yeah, that's awesome. Let me ask you one more question. Are you an Apple or a non-Apple person?
Both. I'm an Apple with my phone. I'm
Okay.
a PC person in the office, but I do have an iMac in the building too.
So you're really both. I feel like anybody that
He's Switzerland.
yeah.
Yeah,
I
PC
feel like,
neutral.
I feel like so many people are like that are like smart with stuff like that are always usually pretty anti-Apple.
Yeah.
And then I noticed you had an Apple Watch, and I was like, follow-up question. 2 truths and a lie. I am an Apple person. I'm not an Apple person. Both true.
Apple products are easier to use, especially
They are.
the mobile products.
They are.
I just don't have time to mess with stuff. so I
Right.
just
Do you know how many
want
fights I got
That's
with my
very
grandma
fair.
about her Android?
Oh,
so
yeah.
many fights.
No,
She's like, fix
1000%.
this for me. I'm like, I don't know how.
You're like, I don't know. Yeah. That makes sense. Hello.
Hello, how are you?
Good. How
yeah,
are you?
no, but my uncle was he did all the computer register systems for Hy-Vee for the whole
Okay.
thing. I mean, that was his job, and he hated Apple
hanging?
with the red hot fire of a thousand
Good.
suns. Hated everything to do with Apple, which is why my grandma had an Android, which
Yeah.
is why I could never
Jeff's
help
in the
her.
back.
But he was like hostile.
But I can yell at him.
Yeah, could you?
Sure.
Tell me to grab another keg of service.
Jeff, I got a cake for you.
How are you doing?
Pretty good. You're doing a
Slight pause. Not the first time that's happened, right? I mean, people want more of a beer. I would, if I had a cake system at home, it'd be horrible for me. But
Yeah.
I mean, I take advantage of it. Anyways, Apple versus not Apple. Mobile, it's easier. That's where we're at. Yeah.
That's simple.
We're like, that's the end of that point.
Cool. All right, that's all the time we've got today, folks.
Yeah, he walked into the very time. He's like, you guys are done. Actually, though, you're not.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree because my grandma will do the same thing where she's like, and she needs a new phone. Like, no doubt. She's clicked on some sort of like links and stuff like that. You're fine. Come on. This is important. What, you want your money? You want him to pay you? Well, yeah, but now you have to walk by the camera. Okay. Yep. And then you have to say hi. You have a message about Contrary.
Hi. No message.
No one's home.
no, I'm good.
So it's New Year, right? So we're almost to the end of January. When you guys watch this, it'll be in February. But we're in a new year, new opportunity. I feel like everybody, right, takes advantage of their like not even resolutions, but goals, stuff like that. I guess like from what you learned in 23, right? Your first like completely full year as a business owner. What's 2024 look like as far as like here's a goal, or you know what did you take from 2023 that we're really gonna shoot
Yeah.
for the stars
Yeah.
in 24?
I would say in general, and I'll get more specific about this, but in general, it's just keeping throwing more logs on the fire.
Yeah.
So building out the marketing and sales outreach. There's a lot of infrastructure that had to be put in.
Yep.
So that's there. And
Set your base.
Yeah, so we're starting to do outreach now, so generating leads from there. With Verkada, a lot of businesses operate once the new year rolls over, calendar flips, they have a new budget for projects throughout the year. So I fully expect Verkada to be a huge part of 2024 and beyond.
I lost it. Where I was going with
You're
that.
fired. Can we get a new host? Where's
I'm
that?
not like
where's-
seriously. Like, what if we thought he meant this big thing, and it really was like he just physically is like, no, like I have a lot of fires outside. I want to be able to fit more logs in it this
I'd
year.
recommend a weightlifting regimen.
When's he
Or maybe CrossFit. I don't know. That's not really my
we
wheelhouse.
can't endorse things like that. We don't know what we're talking about. Okay, so anyways, yes, 2024, we wanna expand some things.
Yeah, I would continue building off the progress made in 23. A lot of progress in the last 2 quarters of 23.
Yeah.
It looks like it's paying off so far, so it's
awesome.
been a hot start to the year. And just want to continue with that momentum and
Very
keep
cool.
things in motion, staying in motion.
Yeah, and I feel like one thing is too is like, and I mean you can pat yourself on the back for this, is I feel like as a business owner too, you put yourself out there more, right? Like I know that, so you you utilize Startup Muscatine,
Absolutely.
you're in Leadership Muscatine, right? You're like out and about more as like, okay, I'm not just the guy who can do your cybersecurity and all your important stuff.
I'm a real
you're,
person.
Right, you're like, no, I'm really Barth, here I am, right? And getting involved in the community, because that's a huge thing with being A, in a small town, B, being a small business owner, no matter where you're located, what you're doing, like whether it's, you're a photographer or you're a consultant, it's like whatever you're doing, like you have to have that personal connection, right? 'Cause that's the difference of why they call you and they don't call wherever else, right? And so I think bravo to yourself for doing that too, because like the more you get involved in those things, and even like starting to get involved in YPN, those different things, it's like that's where the difference lies, and in when your business really grows and touches people versus just you being really good at what you're doing, right?
Yeah,
So
it's
that's
been
awesome.
it's been really enjoyable to get out and meet new people through like chamber events, business after hours, ribbon cuttings. Also, being involved in community events. So I'm a member of the local Rotary chapter. So through that last year, we had Rotary get behind the mobile food pantry that the school district does. So we'll get a good turnout from Rotarians at that every month, as well as volunteers with traffic control for RAGBRAI last year. And it was a lot of fun.
It's just little things that you like don't necessarily even think about like being involved with until you're involved. You have to be involved, right? Because that's where a lot of your business stems from. So that's awesome. Well, good for you. Well, I'm excited for 2024. Congratulations on closing the chapter in 23. And I don't know, I'm excited. Like we're gonna do this episode again in like 2 years, and we're gonna be like,
Maybe you'll
wow.
be hiring.
Oh yeah, and we'll both work for you.
We'll both
by
work
then.
for you.
And we'll all three be interviewing with whoever's in my seat.
Exactly.
No, just kidding, Brad. Don't take that as my resignation. Anyway, well, thank you. I'm out of here, but cheers to you.
Yeah, cheers.
And excited. I'll have all of his information. You guys reach out, and thank you for watching. We're excited to start up 2024 with You're the Business Owner again. So, bye.